Okay, we're on page 156 in this version of the Mesilas, the ArtScroll version of Mesilas, right at the tail end of another humility. Vihine, and it's sort of like the middle paragraph there. Vihine dibanu adhena. We've spoken up until now, ma'avonot hamakshava, on the ma'anavat hamakshava, humility of the mind. Now we're going to speak about it in terms of action, and it is divided into four parts. So that one should conduct himself in loneliness, that one should be personally, he translates this disparaging, and we'll get into all of these ideas. Hate Rabbanus, that's my favorite. Not just Rabbanus, but authority. Aborich minavran, flee from honor. V'chele kavod l'kol, giving honor to all people. These are the four concepts we're going to go through. The first one is that one should conduct himself in loneliness. This should be done. This is fitting to be done with when he speaks, when he goes, when he's moving, and when he's sitting, and any kind of movement. Right? So he's going to explain. When he speaks, the rabbi said, a person should be soft with people. Yeah, speak softly with people. And it's the Torah explains this. The words in Gehelis, the words of the wise are the words of the wise when spoken softly, benachas, are heard. And it's necessary that your words be dignified and not disgraceful. Is that how he translates it? No, he doesn't.
No, does not be disparaging.
Disparaging, right? Somebody who embarrasses his friend or degrades his friend, really. When the evil person comes, so does disgrace. So what does this mean? So we said before that the Ramchal said before that first you have to become humble in your thinking and then humble in your actions. He made a very important point of this. There's somebody who tries to behave humbly, to act in a way of humility without the right thinking behind it is the worst of all. He's one of the hypocrites, and we talked a lot about that. Refer back to that video. I think I posted it, but that was a previous time. So what is he saying here of the actions? So he's not talking about pretending to be these things. He's telling you this is the kind of things you should do that will help you become more humble. Now remember, humility is thinking. Let's use the exact example that he gives. The words of the wise are spoken softly. So the words of the wise that are spoken softly are heard. In other words, Judaism does not believe in forced conversions, unlike practically every other religion, if not every other religion or every other movement. And it's not just religion, but we have a real problem in parenting. And this is the problem, that we teach our children to be liars. Nothing personal. Some of my best friends are parents. But
I thought you were going to say some of your best friends are liars.
I hope not. So what do we do, right? So we say, your kid comes, Hello? Got feedback there. So your kid comes and they want a candy. So what do you make them do? Right? Say please, and after they take it, thank you.
Yeah, we're still here.
You're
It's either your
getting
mic,
fuzzy.
you're not quite right.
I'm very fuzzy. It's my natural condition. So so we teach them to say please and thank you, right? They don't mean it, right? Say you're sorry. I'm not sorry. Zita, your phone is your connection's weak. Nothing personal. So my best friends have a weak connection. Sorry. Okay, so
I think they look frozen.
Yes, they're frozen. Oh, there you go. You're back. So what are we talking about? So we teach them to not be in touch with their feelings. It's not we create an awful lot of problems with this. We think it's a good thing to do, and I'm guilty of it too, because what we really should do is sit down with a child and talk about their feelings and get them to the point where they actually feel that they're sorry or they feel grateful, and not just say the words. But you're busy, got lots of things going on, so we just we pass it by. We slip on these things. So Zita's trying to tell us something with a blue pen. I don't know what she's trying to tell us. Keep going. You can hear us. You can hear us? No. She can hear us. Okay, good. She's having technical problems. So we don't believe in false conversions, because the whole idea of a false conversion is antithetical to the whole concept of what Torah is trying to do. You can't fake being religious. You can't fake believing in God. You can't fake your religion. If you don't really believe this is the reality, then just saying it is silly. It's not going to get you anywhere. So too on the granular level, that we don't want people just to acknowledge the reality. We want people to understand the point we're making and to agree with it, to understand it and think it's true. And that you don't get that across. You don't change people's opinion by being aggressive. If you have to force people, whether it's physically or just by being verbal, by arguing, shouting, right? This is all kinds of abuse. We don't think of it like that. We think we think in terms of abuse has to be quite a substantial thing. But the truth of the matter is that if you make somebody feel bad, if you put them in a corner, you're really abusing them. You're pushing them into something they don't agree with, they don't understand, they're not there yet, and it's creates all kinds of psychosis that we're quite cognizant of. So the words of the wise are soft, because they want people to, in their own space, to find the truth, to understand it's true.
So would that mean that no politician is humble?
This is a problem in politics, 100%. It's very difficult in politics. It's very difficult for for people with in those kinds of positions. It's hard to I don't know what they would do. but I do know that the people who are effective are the ones who are soft spoken. Let's turn the page 157. in your going, when you're walking. Amru Zichron Abracha, the rabbi said, Shalchu Misam, Ezehu ben Oliver. So they sent a message from Eretz Israel to Babylonia. And they asked them, who is a Ben Olam Haba? Who's going to go to heaven? Right? Ben Olam Haba. Ezehu ben Oliver. Son, somebody who's humble, the Shafar and bends at the knee. Shaif Ayev, Shaif Nafet. He bent over when he enters and bends over when he leaves. Right? And he should not walk erect nor walk too formally, taking small steps, but rather as one who's going about his affairs. Similarly, there, Blessed One said, whoever walks erect is regarded as if he were pressing upon the feet of the divine presence. And it states, those of elevated stature will be cut down. So what are they talking about here? And this very much typifies what the so-called ghetto Jew that has attracted a lot of negative publicity in the last 100 years. So and people feel like it's time to stand up and kick some doors down as you see what's going on in Gaza and things like that. So the first thing you should notice is, the people the rabbis that were in Eretz Israel were not shoddy people. They were all also great people. The rabbis in Babylonia, in Babel, okay, they were greater, but this is not a subject that should be so difficult to answer. What are they sending a message to Babylon for? There's no small trip. It wasn't an email. It wasn't even a letter. Right? Someone actually had to get on a donkey and travel all the way from Eretz Israel to Babylon. Babylonia is what, Persia, is it? Or Iraq? Iraq, I think.
Iraq.
Yeah, that's a long way. That's a long way on a donkey. And this is the question they had. Who is the person going to Olam Haba? They didn't know. They had no idea. They never thought about it before. They had no clue. So what they're saying is every age has its challenge, its opportunity, its way to every age has its own particular time to succeed, to fulfill the Almighty's will, to make the world a better place, to move the world along another step. We're definitely in that now. The events since October 7th has shifted not just the Jewish world, but the whole world has come to an awareness of what evil is all about. It's a change. This has been a cosmic what's not the word, not cosmic when the plates shift in the earth.
Tectonic
shift. Right? This is earth shattering. What we're living in times now is we've moved on. The whole idea of relativism, which everyone's talking about, everyone up until October 7th, has now shifted because all the ideas. Yes. You're gonna see.
I would like to believe. I don't know.
You're gonna see. We're in a new world order now that's completely different, because the world for the last 70 years was on this binge of believing. They've been drinking the Kool-Aid that the whole world is one wonderful place and we don't judge anybody and everybody's lovely and all that kind of silliness. And October 7th was a wake-up call. There's evil in the world and you've got to decide you're going to be good or evil. And some people didn't wake up. Some people are still in the fantasy and they can't accept it. And that's what you're seeing now, because what they want to do is They want to keep with the old model that there's no good, there's no bad. Everybody is a product of their environment. And that's why you're hearing that Hamas is just a product of their environment. Right? And we all understand, no. Right? And there's a very big percentage of the world that doesn't buy that anymore. This is wrong. You're not a product of your environment. There's evil, there's good. You got to decide which side you're going to be on.
Rabbi,
yeah.
The only thing that I will say relative to that, it seems like an awful lot of people out there right now have decided that the Israelis are the ones who are evil.
That's what I'm saying, right? It's not an awful lot of people. I believe it's a very small number of people, but they're mad as anything.
Loud.
They're very loud.
Yes.
Social media, actually, because I know I've been seeing, like kids marching through the halls in their schoolway, chanting from the whatever it is, from the river to
the river to the sea.
Will be free, whatever. Right. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on here. And I mean, and these are children. Well, I mean, they're not little kids, but basically they're young teenagers. And I'm like, where did you even get this idea?
Right. There are people, but it's a minority of people. It's not a majority.
I'd like to believe you, Rabbi.
I think in London. I mean, I don't know if it's that small a minority.
Yeah, there are 100,000 people. It's not, I don't know what the numbers are in England. 60 million people, something like that. 50 million. I don't know how many people live in England, but it's a small minority. It's just they're mad as anything because their whole things come tumbling down. It was up until now they could justify their hatred for Israel and disguise their anti-Semitism by pretending that it's understandable the Israelis do this, and you find the odd thing that an Israeli soldier says boo at the wrong time, and there are some things that are a little bit questionable, right? But this makes it very, very clear. You've got nothing to say except for the fact I hate Jews, and that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. We just hate Jews, and we're just really upset because it was very interesting. I was listening to an interview just a few hours ago in Saudi Arabia. They interviewed the head of Hamas, and this is in Saudi Arabia. The interviewer was asking the head of Hamas, haven't you destroyed the whole image of what Hamas, like the whole civilized world now views you in the same way they view ISIS? And he said some nonsense back and everything. But the fact that they asked the question means the whole world's getting it. Even if it's getting in Saudi Arabia, the whole world gets it. There is a one world leader outside of Iran that is anti-Israel, that says Israel should not do this. They're all lockstep. Privately, secretly, I don't know. But the fact that they all understand that Israel's got no choice at this moment. The only people who are protesting are street people, right? These are the nuts and the anti-Semites and the evil of the world. But it's made it very clear there's evil and there's good. We thought, the world thought, Nazi Germany, it was an aberration, it was the Great Depression, and the result of the First World War, and you can understand where they're coming from, and we're going to do all these programs, and we'll be lovey-dovey, and the whole world will love each other. And it was a big wake-up call. It didn't work. Just like you see last week's Parshas Noah, because I'll say that the crucible event was not the flood. The crucible event was the Tower of Babel. We'll read the Parsha, go, wow, the flood. We missed the Tower of Babel. But the crucible event, the Ramchal brings it down in Derech Hashem, but the Torah makes it very clear that it's the Tower of Babel that's the crucible event. Because the Tower of Babel proved that Noah's ideas didn't work. Because Noah comes out of the ark and he's like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. And as human beings always do, whenever they go through something tragic, whether it's your car breaks down, or it's the Second World War. But they always ask the question, what do we learn so we don't do this again, right? The Titanic goes down, and you have state commissions in England and both in America, right? And everyone comes out with their conclusions about how to not let it, right? You speak to any divorced parent, any divorced person, right? Anybody who's gone through anything tragic, you go into a state prison, everyone there's learned the lesson. Everyone's learned, everyone thinks they've learned the lesson. What proves you didn't, right? So that was the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel proved that the 7 mitzvahs b'nai Noach don't work. Why don't they work? Because they're all negatives, except for one, which is only to keep the other 6. They're all negatives, which is leave everybody alone. Don't let your dog, do anything on your neighbor's lawn. Right? They're all negatives, right? And the world can't exist on negatives. It needs a people. It needs a movement. It needs a concept of responsibility, positives, and that's Avraham, and that's this week's parsha. So that's what just happened just now was a big wake, was a big shift in the world. And anybody who's like, thinking a little bit, you don't have to think a lot, but you just got to think a little bit, would understand that 1948 was a big miracle. I mean, by anybody's definition of the word miracle, you don't even have to believe in God. As Ben Gurion, who was a big atheist, said, anybody who doesn't believe in miracles is not a realist, right? Because he was an atheist in Europe, and he comes to Israel, and he wants to keep being an atheist. What am I going to do? Right? We won 1948 with miracles. Right? It's absurd how they won. I won't go into all the details, but I'll just tell you one anecdotal story. When we were living in Los Angeles, my landlord was a Holocaust survivor. Really sweet guy. And every time I would see him, he would tell me a story. And I didn't have the heart to tell him that I've heard it before. He's got such joy in telling his story. This is his old, he came to America, became wealthy, but the only thing he liked doing was telling his story. So what am I going to do? I had to hear the story. It was a great story. So he comes out of the Europe and he goes to Israel, and he's defending a kibbutz in 1948. Right from he said to me that he had to defend a kibbutz from a battalion of Syrian troops. So he always expected me that. How did you do it? He said, we only had one gun and there were 2 soldiers. We only had one gun. So how did you do it? He said, we ran around the kibbutz with the gun, right? Didn't have the
Jewish
heart
ingenuity.
to say so what do the Syrians think? There was 2 of you? It's a battalion of Syrian troops. They're supposed to attack a battalion of Israeli troops. So they thought there was 10 of you. So, you know what I'm saying? I didn't say that to him. It was all miracles. It was all miracles, right? Anybody who's thinking knows that the Almighty didn't create this tremendous miracle in 1948, which did not exist in the Holocaust. There were many miracles. There's divine intervention all over the place, but not right to defeat the Nazis. The Warsaw Ghetto was a total failure. So anybody reasonable would go, well, why did the Almighty want this? Want the Yesharim, want the state of Israel to succeed? So we could build highways, so we could build 10-story buildings, so we could have Pizza Hut and kosher McDonald's. Oh, that's what the Almighty wanted. That's it. That's what's missing. Right? So we're to fulfill our mission and a light to the nations. Right? And every step of the way, you just read the wars. Right? We have more wars than any other country in the world, definitely in the last 70 years. Right? So you read all the wars, and every time they come and attack us, we get better, we get stronger, we grow more. It's absurd, right? The only time we lose land is when the Israelis give it up. They come and attack us, we get more, right? No one. So what? The Almighty wants you to do this because it's not bringing to the ultimate end. So every stage is another stage of it. It's not. October the 7th didn't happen because a failure in intelligence. Really, that's what happened. A failure of intelligence, right? Every other time, the Almighty protected us. You hear these stories all the time, right? They send the missiles up. You see the Iron Dome. Nothing hits, and when it hits, it's in the middle of nowhere. So it couldn't do October 7th, couldn't have done a miracle there. Of course, it's the Almighty's hand. So what's the Almighty's hand? Right? To bring the world to recognition. The Jews stand for the ultimate truth. And some people are getting it. Most people are getting it. The awareness of the world is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Right? Benjamin Netanyahu couldn't get a meeting with Biden, where they met in an office in the United Nations building. He wouldn't meet with him. He wouldn't meet with him. So what did he do? Right now, Biden flies to Israel. Biden doesn't fly to Israel, doesn't fly anywhere for anyone. He goes on tours, and it's a whole big deal. He flew to Israel. He spent 4 hours on the ground. So he flew all the way. Air Force One doesn't fly any farther than any other plane. There's the 10-hour flight there, 4 hours on the ground. Okay, so it's a more comfortable flight. Okay, that's true. He's not doing it because he's like, wants to get the miles. So he can go take a trip to Hawaii, right, or get a nice couch, right? He's a cheaper gas, right? He said he was moved. The Prime Minister of England shows up too. These people, they got it. This is a battle for the future of humanity. It's a battle for the future of humanity. So when each generation has its mission. Yeah, go ahead, Zizi, you want to say that?
I don't know if I should say this, but is it also that they understand that they themselves could be subjected to the same evil? And if they don't show the solidarity with Israel and the desire to stop it, that it's just going to invite similar issues on their homeland?
They should be 100%. They should be very concerned, because once it becomes very clear, Israel's going to clean out Hamas. The Gaza Strip's going to be a whole new world. They're going to turn it into, a landfill. I don't know exactly what they're going to do. Netanyahu didn't call me lately. So, but the one thing's for clear, Hamas is done in the Gaza Strip. There's not going to be a presence there. So these people are going to look for new targets. And so the rest of the world should be worried. If I was advising any of these world leaders, I would be telling them, ban any marches that's pro-Palestinian. And if they march, don't send out the police, send out the National Guard. Because you need to send a very clear message to these people. We're not tolerating any of this stuff. We've seen Nazis before. It doesn't work out well. So
actually, they had never apparently had never seen Nazis at Michigan State.
Yeah, they never really.
You didn't hear what happened?
No.
They showed Hitler's picture on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and what happened? People didn't know who it was?
They're investigating.
Right. Yeah. These people, they're on that side. It's hard to. We're all in shock because, because everyone's thinking, right, we're past this. We're not past it. There's a significant percentage of the population that is just seriously evil, and it's not crazy. It's not they were bottle fed when they were babies. Right? It's not conditioning. It's just evil is right out there. Making sense?
It does.
You know, I
Also,
wonder if
Oh, Billy, you want to say something?
go ahead,
I
Billy.
was going to say I heard a speaker from Israel a couple of years ago, and she talked about how there was all these conferences or whatever they'd had with the Palestinians, with Hamas and all that, where Israel had said yes to every demand that they had, every one of them. Whatever they wanted, they said yes. And then once they got through doing all the negotiations and Israel had agreed to everything they wanted, then they would turn around and say, "Yeah, no, we're not doing this." I mean,
Yeah.
it was like you were saying earlier, Rabbi. They want a one-state solution. This whole two-state solution is a Western fantasy. The
Yeah.
Palestinians, all of
Yeah.
them, they want a one-state solution, and that state is Palestine. That's just it.
No,
And the West doesn't believe that, but
no,
that's what it
they
is.
don't even want Palestine. They just don't want Jews.
Well, that too.
they they yeah, they don't. They wouldn't have a problem if Jordan was to come in and take over. They wouldn't have a problem. They just don't want Jews. And but what they're doing to anybody who thinks like you hear these arguments. To just all you have to say is how many black people you ever heard of, right? Went into a white town and killed babies. I mean, I don't care what the Palestinians say they're suffering from under the Israelis. Even if you believe it, which I don't, but even if you believe that, they did not suffer worse than what black people suffered in this country. And never did anyone ever, black man ever, a single black man, not even a group, but a single black man ever do anything like is that it didn't happen. Not only that, the Native Americans of this country have also had a rough time of it. But you never saw them, right? Not only that, but you never saw anybody ever do anything like this, right? Because they're being subjugated. There's I don't know what the numbers are, but there's dozens and dozens of people who are left their homeland. They don't have a home. They're conquered by some other nation, and they move on. Right? They're selling pizza in New York City. Whatever happens to be. This is just they're trying to find a reason to justify it, and they're grappling for anything. They're just grasping at straws because they're frustrated because they can't hide behind anti-Zionism anymore. They have to go back. We hate Jews, and they're starting to say it. They're saying it more and more. So make sure your passports are up to date. Thank you, everybody. Lots of love. See you next week.
Thank you, Rabbi.